Let me begin with this simple but powerful image. Imagine, if you will, with me, a worker in St. Kitts and Nevis, someone who has toiled for decades, paid contributions faithfully, and is now on the cusp of retirement. She's not thinking about actuarial reports. She's certainly not thinking about dependency ratios. She has one simple question. Will Social Security be there for me? Now imagine you are that person. So the question then becomes, will Social Security be there for me? Everyone personalizes that question. That, ladies and gentlemen, is really the question that we are addressing today. I thank Director Luard for his kind invitation to this important reform conference, and I commend the Social Security Board for its arrangement under the thoughtful and timely theme, Refining Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, the theme captures both the urgency and opportunity before us. Because the simple truth is this: if we do not refine today, rather, we cannot secure tomorrow. And I want to begin with this fundamental truth, fundamental foundational principle here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And it is this: a sustainable island state needs a sustainable social security system. Can we agree on that? Can we agree on that? Very good. Here then are my key messages. I have 4. Key message number 1: sustainability protects people, not just the fund. And I'm stressing this at the outset because we're going to hear numbers today. And the numbers are important. We are driven by science, or certainly guided by science. But at the end of the day, we have to be very clear about what this is really all about. It is about protecting people. You, me, or children or grandchildren, especially in times when they are most vulnerable. Secondly, this is important as well, standing still really means falling behind. Third, delay increases the costs for all of us. And the longer we wait, the harder the adjustments and the heavier the burden becomes. Fourth, securing Social Security requires collective action here in St. Kitts and Nevis and across our member countries. So within and across. Why? Because no system, no matter how well endowed, can secure its future alone. This is a shared responsibility. Government, opposition, employers, employees, workers, all of us. And so the bottom line this morning, colleagues, is that we have to protect people. Inaction is dangerous, delay is costly, reform is responsible, and collective action is critical. These are not merely key messages, which I like to do at the beginning of every talk. They are essentially today our call to action. Today we live in a world defined by volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, not original, not from me, but I've added anxiety, the VUCA world. It's a world of constant shocks. St. Kitts faces all of these: economic, climate, epidemics, and if you just think for a moment, 8 in 10 deaths in this region, including here in the Federation, comes from the non-communicable diseases. Diabetes, heart disease, hypertension, and so on. 8 in 10. So that's the silent pandemic that we don't talk about enough, but it's killing us every single day. We had a pandemic, and then we have price shocks, including the current oil price shock, the largest on record as a result of the war in the Middle East. These shocks are no longer occasional. They are constant and compounding. The shocks keep coming. No country in our region is large enough to absorb them alone, and none should have to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, these challenges are not unique to St. Kitts and Nevis. They are shared across our currency union and the wider Caribbean. Barbados is here today. These challenges demand more than national responses. They require regional resolve. In such a VUCA world, the Social Security Board must be an anchor, a stabilizer, and an economic pillar. It must be there, reliably, consistently, and sustainably for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. When crisis hits, citizens do not turn to actuarial reports. And I mean no disrespect to the distinguished actuary in the House, Mr. Derek Osborne. No disrespect. In fact, join with me in applauding Derek for his yeoman service to social security systems across our currency union. Derek, we thank you and we salute you. You're a real champion in this space. A faithful servant. Thank you. They turn to institutions they can trust. They turn to systems that deliver. They turn to Social Security. And that is why sustainability is not optional, folks. It is essential. Never forget, Social Security system is not merely a system. It's a powerful promise. What is that promise? A promise to protect people in times of vulnerability. A promise to deliver dignity in old age. A promise that no citizen shall be left behind. A promise of stability across generations. That's the promise. It's a multi-generational, multi-contingency shield. It is an economic stabilizer, and it is a social, in fact, an intergenerational social contract. And you know what? Because it's a contract, each generation has to keep its end of the bargain. We must work and pay in so that those who are retired can receive. When we retire, those who should work and pay in so that we can get our pension. That is how it works. The moment one person drops their end of the bargain, the system collapses. That is why we have shared responsibility in this enterprise. For us, for our children, and for our grandchildren. And out of respect for those who've toiled hard, we have a duty of care to make sure that we do what has to be done. Not just to pay in, but to protect the system, including making timely adjustments so that the system remains sustainable to serve its purpose, to serve our people, to serve us. Never forget, Social Security is not about numbers only. It's about people. But here's the thing this morning. That system is under strain. It has done very well. Nearly universal coverage, solid reserve base, broad pension support, and we celebrate those. And I commend all those who have been involved in Social Security system over the years, here in St. Kitts and Nevis and across our currency union. But I want to remind you of a reality, which was my second key message. Standing still means falling behind. You can't sit on your laurels. What got you there won't keep you there. We have to be prepared to act. Consider this. In 1978, when this system was established, the retirement age was 62, ahead of any other Social Security system in the currency union. 62. And contributors per pension, the number was 6. So 6 contributors per pension in 1978. That has now fallen to 3.5 contributors per pension. And it is projected to fall to 1.6. You see where we're going? Are you with me this morning? The demographic shift is undeniable and cannot be ignored. Fewer workers, more retirees, everyone is living, well, many people are living longer. So what do we do? So this is not temporary. It is structural and it cannot be ignored. There's more. Since 2020, benefits are up by 48%. Ooh, Social Security has been paying. That's a good thing. But here is the kicker. Contributions are only up by 19%. 19%. As a result, the deficits are widening. By the way, this is sobering, but I want you to understand, and stay with me. The truth is your friend. The truth is my friend. It might make us bitter, but then it will get us better. So I'm advised that on the current trajectory, the fund is going to reach exhaustion by 2040 on the current trajectory. That is not far away. Anybody remember the 2020 or 2000 Y2K? 26 years ago. The risk is not tomorrow. That risk is already building today. And so the bottom line is that the window for gradual reform is closing fast. It's closing fast. Observe social security systems around the region. So these are the pictures. I'm just giving the numbers in the interest of managing the time. So you see top of screen, St. Kitts and Nevis retirement age at 62. You see the admin cost or incidence, 16. The depletion, 2040. And of course, the contributor base is about 30,000 people. And you can go right across the currency union and you see where everybody is. Grenada, for example, and I picked Grenada because Grenada took a while to move, but has now made a decision to move retirement age to 65 for every other year. So they're now at 63, next year they'll go to 64, and 2 years after that they get to 65. Just as an example. Dominica took an earlier decision, and Dominica has been at 65 for a while, and they have gradual annual adjustments. So the experiences vary, but they are making reforms, which is the important point. They are making reforms. So that St. Christopher and Nevis, that once led on reforms, once led on design, has now fallen behind because you have stood still. Remember, standing still means falling behind. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. The situation can no longer be denied, nor can critical decisions be deferred. For as Nobel laureate Sir Derek Walcott once said, the future happens, no matter how much you scream. And I love that, and I say it, I evoke that regularly. The future happens, no matter how much we scream. So we have to decide, will we prepare or will we postpone? And I ask you this morning, colleagues, friends, are you going to prepare or are you going to postpone? No, I want you to answer me now. Are you going to prepare or are you going to postpone? Prepare or postpone? Prepare or postpone? Prepare or postpone? All right, so board, the instant poll is prepare. Leader of the opposition, the instant poll is prepare. Mr. Prime Minister, the instant poll is prepare. We just got it from everybody in here. And by the way, I agree with that, prepare. All of us. We have to make a choice. What does the vision look like? The vision for social security system here in St. Kitts and Nevis and across our currency union and the wider region for that matter, is that it must be solvent, trusted, folks. I don't want to underestimate this word, trusted. Public institutions like Social Security occupy a high position of trust. And that has to be maintained by responsible and timely action. That has to be maintained by transparency and accountability and good governance. That has to be maintained by everybody working together to protect that promise of which we've already spoken. Fair, adequate, modern. So the future is coming, ready or not. And I want to ask you again, are we going with sustainable or unsustainable? Yeah, you could speak back. Sustainable or unsustainable? Sustainable or unsustainable? Sustainable or unsustainable? All right, so the ayes are sustainable. We just did another instant poll. Everybody inside here said, if you do not agree with me, put up your hand and take a stand. Stand up, let me see you. Anybody here does not agree with this notion of sustainability, speak now. No, I ain't saying that part. You're going to feel it later. I ain't have to say that part. I mean, I add a little humor in a sober moment, but the truth is, we have to do this together. And all of us have to buy into this notion of sustainability. It's not for the board, not for the government by itself, not for central bank speaking, not for the director. All of us have to buy into this notion of sustainability. Every day we have a choice. You know, this is one of my favorite sayings. I say it almost every day in the central bank. I challenge myself and my colleagues. We have a choice. We're either going to curse darkness or light a candle. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Are we going to curse darkness or light a candle? I'm putting choices before you. Curse darkness or light a candle? Curse darkness or light a candle? Curse darkness or light a candle? Absolutely. So we must choose to act. So what are the guiding principles for reform as I wind down? One, always we have to protect the most vulnerable. That is fundamental to how we design and how we operate and sustain. Second, we must share responsibility fairly. It's a collective effort. We all have to share in this enterprise and take our responsibility. Third, act early, act gradually. If you don't act early, then we're going to have to act drastically. And that is going to be painful. And fourth and final, build and sustain public trust. I cannot overemphasize that. Build and sustain public trust. And what are some of the key reforms that are required? Raise the retirement age. You saw the other countries. I'm not asking you to do things others have not done, here in the region and around the world. And if you don't want to raise the retirement age, then you have to cut the pension. All right? So I'm not suggesting that at this point. Raise the retirement age. Adjust contributions. Improve compliance. I commend Social Security Board on your efforts to get the self-employed in and to use flexibility in terms of how you collect from them. We have to continue to do that because we are encouraging more and more people to own their own businesses, to be entrepreneurs, and we have to have a flexibility in design to cater for them. They should still contribute and they must also benefit. So improve compliance. We must call out employers who fail in their duty, and we must not be shy about doing that. I worked in government for a long time. And as a financial secretary, I always told them, when you collect VAT, that is a trust tax. You cannot keep it and use it in your business. I have no tolerance for that. By the end of the day, I have the headache to find money to pay government salaries and pay this and pay this and pay debt. So I have no tolerance for that. Employers, you have to pay your contributions. They have to be prioritized. I'm not unsympathetic or insensitive to the fact that some of you are operating with very tight margins. Cash flow is tough. But contributions have to be prioritized. They have to be. And of course, we must strengthen investment governance. One of the things that the board has to look at is the diversification of investments. As we speak, I'm advised around 94% of all investments are based in St. Kitts and Nevis. Now, that might sound good in terms of helping to develop the country. But as a practical matter in terms of financial management, that is not ideal diversification. You need to get it up to at least 20%, maybe a little more, and the actuary will guide on that. And I know because many moons ago when I chaired the investment committee in Grenada, we had that challenge. Eventually, we got the board to see the reason for it and the rationale, and they moved. And so we have to look at that very carefully. What's the role of ECCB? So I want to end by just reflecting for a moment on what ECCB's role is in all of this. The actuarial guidance is clear. Establish a credible funding policy, raise the retirement age, adjust contributions responsibly, strengthen compliance, improve investment performance, and ensure benefit sustainability. Why does this matter? Because when people retire, the system must deliver, not disappoint. When shocks come, and they will, the system must stand strong. That is why sustainability matters. This is where collective action moves from principle to practice. Collective action must be deliberate, structured, and sustained. It should include, for example, harmonizing key reform parameters such as retirement age and contribution frameworks, sharing actuarial expertise and data systems to strengthen decision-making, pooling knowledge and best practices, some of which we already do, to accelerate reform, deepening regional capital markets to improve investment returns, and coordinating communication strategies to build and retain public trust in our systems. After all, a weak system anywhere in our region can undermine confidence everywhere. Conversely, the reverse is true. When we act together, we strengthen not just systems, but trust, stability, and resilience across the currency union and the wider region. The role of ECCB. For the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Social Security is not only a national imperative, it is a regional stability issue. The ECCB's role at its core is to enable collective action, to help transform national reforms into a coherent regional strategy. Under the big push, our central bank will play a pivotal role in helping to strengthen the resilience of social security systems in our currency union. First, the ECCB will continue to convene a platform for reform dialogue, bringing finance ministries, social security systems, regulators, development partners together to support peer learning, sharing good practices, and aligning reforms within the broader agenda of fiscal resilience in our currency union. Second, the ECCB will continue to strengthen investment governance and in regional capital market development, enabling social security funds to diversify safely and improve long-term returns while contributing to regional development. And third, the ECCB will strengthen its advocacy, such as we're doing this morning, and its analytical research and advisory support for many things, including pensions and health insurance. There's a reason why our governments all across the currency union are struggling with health insurance. It is expensive, it is difficult, and the fiscal pressures are real. We believe we have an opportunity to come together to design health insurance in a way that minimizes the cost, not cheap, minimizes the cost, and maximizes the benefits. There's some shared lessons that we must learn. We can use the platform of Social Security, but I want to be very clear, it has to be paid for separately. Everybody agrees on that? Everybody agrees. That's fundamental. So don't set up another structure that will run up costs and so on, drive admin costs. You can leverage the platform that is Social Security, but it has to be funded separately. That's one of the key things that we would advise on. But we have some other thoughts which we want to help our governments as they navigate this important issue. It's a promise that we hear year after year after year, and our governments have struggled to deliver. There's a reason why. It's not that they don't want to. The fiscal costs are prohibitive. After all, strong social security systems are pillars of economic stability. Through collective action, we can ensure that these pillars stand firm across every member country. Above all, this is about people. Always has, always will be. And so I conclude. Ladies and gentlemen, I do recognize that my remarks have been sobering. I have spoken candidly, seeking to urge a sense of action because I really believe this moment demands clarity and it demands action. This is not a time for anxiety. This is a time for action. Let me return to the question of that hard-working woman. Will Social Security be there for me? Our responsibility is to ensure that that answer is an emphatic yes. Say that with me. Yes. Say that with me. Yes. The good news is that we know what needs to be done. The only question is, will we do what's required? And let me remind you of two enduring truths I return to. One, a sustainable island state requires a sustainable social security. And two, standing still means falling behind. And let us be clear, safeguarding Social Security in St. Kitts and Nevis strengthens stability across the currency union. That's why the central bank has a vested interest in this matter. In a region as interconnected as ours, sustainability anywhere depends on sustainability everywhere. In light of these truths, it behooves all of us, government, opposition, employers, employees, workers, social security systems, of course, all stakeholders, to protect our people by securing the fund. If we fail, we will feel the consequences in our retirement years, or perhaps even sooner. Inaction is never neutral. It compounds and it accelerates decline. When asked, what did we do to protect Social Security? We must be able to answer with conviction to ourselves, our children, and to future generations. We acted. We took responsibility. We secured it. Let history record that we met the moment. We chose courage over comfort, and we took action today. The time to reform is now. Ladies and gentlemen, the time to reform is now. I say the time to reform is now. May God bless you on your journey of reforms, and may He grant you tremendous success and sustainability. I thank you.